The following is a presentation of the WRAD Talk Network and New River Radio Group. It's time for Fourth and Goal, presented by Cody Jernell of the Gravity Real Estate Group on the WRAD Talk Network. Voice of the Pulaski County Cougars, Rick Watson, is here to discuss and break down this week's matchups in the New River Valley and beyond. Here is Rick Watson.
And we welcome you into another edition of the Fourth and Goal Show here on this Friday alongside Jermaine Ferrell. He is the sports director for WFXR. I'm Rick Watson. And first of all, good afternoon, Jermaine. How you doing, man?
What is up, Mr. Watson, I presume?
Yeah, well, we're down to the final 3 weeks of the season.
Did you catch it?
I did. I'm a big Sherlock
Holmes
fan because of that.
You just glazed past it.
I did.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, that's
see,
all right.
See if I ever try to be funny again on your shows.
I like Dr. Watson. Good stuff. Well, let's talk about last week very quickly. Some things that stood out for you as you covered games. There were some blowouts that weren't expected to be. I didn't expect some of the scores that we've seen over the past couple of weeks. One in particular, I guess, when you look at what happened last week, not necessarily a surprise, but, EC Glass a little down the road keeps rolling along. We talked about the big games in the Seminole LCA. Did that margin of victory surprise you? 49-10 over Heritage.
I tell you what, I didn't see it, but I can tell you right now, LCA is just playing on another level.
Yeah.
But you got the athletes they got, and here, Heritage is Heritage. Heritage, strong program. They've been that way for years, Brad Bradley. But something about LCA, they're just playing on this level. I think they were determined. I mean, when you look at, they lost in the state semifinals last year to Lloyd Bottop. I think this team is on a mission. Coach Rocco, of course, goes without saying he's won the state championships at the private school level. He's trying to do it now at the VHSL level. So, I mean, is it surprising they won? No, but just the way they're rolling. I mean, they have not been really challenged. I mean, they've been the lawnmower and these opponents have been the grass. I mean, just mowing over teams. And, it's going to be interesting. Now, they do probably their next challenge will be at the end of the year when they play EC Glass in a couple of weeks. But other than that, I mean, really, they got Liberty tonight tonight. So that'll be a home game over there. And like I said, we talked about this before. I don't think I've talked to I think I've spoke to you about it or I spoke to someone else. But they have the potential to play all of their playoff games at home, including the state championship game, because the state championship game is at Williams Stadium.
That's right.
And so, during the springtime, we did have home teams hosting state championship games, but this year they will definitely have that opportunity to do that. So, LCA is playing well. And then, obviously some other games. I mean, Christiansburg, what they did to Hidden Valley, again, that's another eye-opener.
Well, I was told when they were 6-0, a few coaches kind of said Hidden Valley, they're 6-0, but you will see. And sure enough, they've lost back-to-back convincingly. And now they're in a little bit of a spiral, aren't they? And Christiansburg, my God, it shows you the potential of that offense with 61 points.
Yeah, and then when you run up against a couple of teams, I mean, and they're not done yet with tough teams because obviously they still got Salem on the board down the road. I think it's next week they play Salem.
Right.
So it's just going to be one of those things. And really, Christiansburg, I mean, they have all the athletes. They have a lot of skilled players all around the board. And Coach Wilkins really is just rocking and rolling with that team. So it's just, again, am I surprised they beat Hidden Valley? No. But, again, you look at the margin. And the thing is, you put 61 points on anyone. I don't care who you're playing. It's impressive. So, and again, I mean, if the playoffs were to rock and roll down the road, I mean, you got to look at, Christiansburg and LCA. I mean, that could be a state semifinal game. Heck, depending on the brackets, because the VHSL, again, we dog them every now and then. I will this time. The brackets. I mean, I couldn't tell you how they're going to bracket it this year. It'd be neat if we could see these two teams if it shakes out the way the regions are. In a state final setup. A state semifinal will take that too. But right now, those are two teams Christiansburg rocking and rolling in Region 3D, and then of course LCA rocking and rolling in Region 3C.
Not many teams playing better in our region than Patrick Henry. They shut out Cave 35-0. Of course, your alma mater really flexing its muscle. Pulaski County, no trouble with Blacksburg. They got back on the winning side of things, 49-7. Whenever I watch Blacksburg, I don't know what's going on over there. They have the losing streak is now 14, and they have good size. They have athletes. I think Coach Schloss does a good job. It's just strange to see how far they've fallen so quickly after being state contenders only a few years ago.
Yeah, but they've had a lot of injuries too, Rick. And that's really the thing is, injuries, could separate anything, and Coach Schloss, tremendous coach, but at the end of the day, they've had some tough games. And their schedule has been real tough too. So it's not like they've played a bunch of ham and eggers. They've played some tough teams, and their schedule is going to get even tougher. They got that reschedule with Salem down the road,
right,
and then
right.
Tonight they got a tough one, with Hidden Valley. So that's the schedule is not conducive. Earlier in the year they played Lord Botetourt. They've played teams that are really, tough on their schedule. So I still think there's a way for them to turn it around. The playoffs are probably not going to happen, obviously, but if they can bow up a little bit in these rivalry games, Pulaski County tonight's going to be a rivalry game. Actually last week they had a rivalry game, lost to that one, but then tonight they got the game there, so they'll do that. As far as Patrick Henry, they are on a roll, 6 straight.
Oh my goodness!
They figured it out after
they have.
They figured it out after they lost that game to Brookville. They said, "Look, we got to figure this thing out," because they had a lot of young players, Rick. They were playing, never played varsity football, and as well as I do, there's a whole lot of difference between a JV game and a varsity game. The talent level is bigger, older, faster, stronger, and, that's just how that is. So they figured that out, learned how to play. They said they got that right there. And then as far as, but they got a tough one tonight, and this is going to be a fun one. We'll talk more about in a second. Christiansburg hosting Patrick Henry. That is going to be, that game could have a potential, Rick, to be a track meet.
It will be. I think it will be. Scoreboard operator will be busy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to have to flex his fingers. He's going to get his finger exercise going on the scoreboard. Hey, look, I got to get my fingers ready for Christiansburg and Patrick Henry. So there you go.
Got to talk about Glenver. They dispatched to Floyd a couple weeks ago, and then, of course, this past week they took care of more 60-plus points, right, in that first game they had against Allegheny. Then they had to play again on the 19th. And they squeaked by James River, but Glenver playing on short rest got it done, and it doesn't look like there's a whole lot going to slow down the Highlanders, at least throughout the rest of the regular season.
Rick, it's interesting. Some teams, maybe they don't mind playing, another game. This was a quick turnaround.
It was.
Because what are you going to do? Are you going to you're going to probably practice? So let's just add a game level to it.
Sure.
And James River is an impressive team too.
They're improved.
They are really improved. They're 4-2. Glenver's 6-1. They're rocking and rolling. But first off, they got the win over Allegheny, and then they 63-8 put a 60 spot on, put a 60 piece. That's what you serve up at your restaurant, Big Rick. A 60 piece.
Absolutely.
You get
lots
60
of 60 pieces.
A lot of 60 pieces. You got dime pieces. How about 60 pieces?
Absolutely.
So they're rolling. Got a big win, but I tell you what, now, they're gonna, get their schedule. I'm trying to flip my piece of paper and look at that schedule they got down the road. But yeah, Glenver, just a tremendous program. Again, Coach Clifford, he's rocking and rolling. And again, we could see a collision course, them and Appomattox putting up points.
71.
Rick, 71 in Nelson County. And the thing is, Rick, how impressive these offenses are. But it's funny, I would love to ask a coach, is it more impressive to, blow out a team, score a lot of points, or is it impressive to get the donut? And I guarantee you, to me, offense, you really have control on your offense. Because offense at will, you're going to score. Defense is where you impress me by shutting a team out, because it is not easy to shut out a team. I don't care what level of football, care if it's high school, college, or pro. you shut out a team, you're really doing something right there.
Well, and that's why what Salem's doing defensively in this day and age of offense is so impressive. And teams like Galax, who have a strong defense, they had a shutout on the road against George Wythe. You're right. Doesn't really matter the level, who you're playing. Howie did the same thing to Northwood. When you see a 0 at the end of a game nowadays, you're just like, wow. And you're right. That's how prominent offenses have evolved and how the game, the rules and so forth have kind of lent itself to the offensive side, really at all three levels.
And what's funny is, you see, defenses holding teams to, say, upper teens, which that's an impressive thing. It seems like, hey, we held a team to, we're averaging holding a team to 18, 19 points a game. Sure. That's still impressive. But, I mean, we dip below single digits and put a donut. But, you mentioned Salem. How about Cam Leftwich? He had, 200 yards rushing. 4 of his touchdown, he rushed on his 4 TD runs. If you add all that together, he had 4. He rushed those 4 TD runs equal like to 150 some odd yards.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he's a fullback, Rick.
Yeah, he's not even a tailback, right?
He's not even a tail, and that's what Salem they do. Again, Salem, their history of running backs,
plug and
play.
Had
some great ones. They plug and play. And again, Salem's a throwback to, in essence, I mean, how many teams have a fullback? I remember when I played high school football, PH, we had a fullback or an H-back or a tight, we obviously have a tight end. But how many teams have a fullback? And
the tight end H-back, you're right.
Yeah. And remember, he was like the lead blocker for Xavion Wood, who's a walk-on attack.
Yeah. He didn't carry the ball. He didn't carry the ball last year.
And his touchdown runs against Franklin County earlier this week, he had a 68-yarder, he had a 32-yarder, a 16-yarder, and I think a 20-yarder. I mean, that's crazy. Was he Derrick Henry or something?
Yeah, I know.
He's auditioning to be Derrick Henry. I tell you, and it looks like from what I've seen, and I know the newspaper, I think, did an article about it, he looks like he's trimmed down some, but he's still thick. He's still big.
He is. He lost some weight, but he's still, he's very strong.
He's got speed. He doesn't look like he doesn't get caught a lot. So, but Salem is going to do what Salem does. We say it every week. I mean, the running game will get you. It might not get you in the first half, but the second half, hold the phone.
You watch out.
We got some more coming.
Hey, before the break, I want to give a shout out to one of the smaller schools. Eastmont got another win this past week, and I know they're bouncing back after having a lot of consecutive years of numbers issues, and they beat Bath County 28-6. This is a nice story developing down in Shawsville for this Eastmont team.
It is, and then they are in the playoff picture.
They are.
I looked at it. I mean, and obviously because of the situation, they are still. I mean, they have a chance to get into the playoffs. Like right now, the playoffs when it start today, they'd be in. They're tied for 5th in the playoff picture with Racing County. In fact, I believe they are, about a little more than a point behind Covington for a home game. And so really, I mean, if you look at that Region 1C real quick, I mean, you got, there's some teams that we normally haven't seen up there in a while. I mean, Perry McClure is rocking and rolling. Covington, Eastern Montgomery, Grayson County, George Wythe is on the other end, and Narrows. We're not used to seeing Narrows and George Wythe, fighting to get into the playoffs. They're normally comfortably in.
Right.
But, Galax and Giles, not too much of a surprise, but that middle is just awesome. But kudos to Eastern Montgomery. I remember, roughly 10 years ago playing for a state championship. It was a snowy game.
Yeah.
And in the snow and they really haven't been to that level since. And I think now they're starting to get the body, starting to get back. One other thing, I mean, I feel bad for Auburn. I mean, they can't get enough healthy bodies. They can't get that situation turned around. And, as we're taping, we're supposed to find out what they're going to do the rest of the season. Yeah. They've only played 4 games. And so it's really a tough deal right there for them. But again, at the end of the day, you got to have bodies. You don't want to put anyone at risk. You don't want to hurt anybody. So you got to have numbers. And I think that's what we've seen over the years in high school football. I'm not going to get on my soapbox, but the participation of high school football, we don't have as many players playing nowadays. There's other interests. There's other things you can do. And, I hope we can get a turnaround. We can get guys out there who really want to play. Well, and a big one tonight for Eastmont is they take on Narrows on the road.
It is the Fourth and Goal show. We'll take a time out. We'll come back and we'll look ahead to tonight's game. Some big matchups throughout high school football in the region. Stay with us. Don't go away.
Now back to more comprehensive high school football coverage in the New River Valley on Fourth and Goal, presented by Cody Jernell of the Gravity Real Estate Group on WRAD. Here once again is Rick Watson.
And we welcome you back into the Fourth and Goal show. And I will say it, the finest high school review and preview show you're going to find with myself and because of our gentleman co-host, Jermaine Ferrell from WFXR. What's the game of the week tonight on WFXR? Where you guys headed?
Well, can I say, first of all, the reason why it's a great show, it's not me.
No, it's you.
I'm a pull a Buzz Williams here. It's not about me. I learn more about you than but anyway, I did a Buzz Williams on you. But
that's
no,
all right.
Our game of the week this week is a good. We had a tough choice, Rick. I mean, there were some good ones.
I was wondering, yeah.
We went with Bassett at George Washington. I mean, you talk about scoreboard. Bassett has here's some numbers. GW Danville, they're averaging 42 points a game. But Bassett said, hold by Sprite. We're averaging 50 points a game. And in fact, the last two games, they put 60, again, a 60 piece. The Rick Watson 60 piece special coming your way
right
on WRAD. You should have that on there. The 60 piece special on Big Dog Sports Talk or
I could do
Fourth and Goal.
I could do that.
Yeah, you can get a restaurant to do that at 60 piece. But anyway, I digress. My point is Bassett's offense is rocking and rolling, and they're doing so well. And George Washington, GW Danville rolling. So this is going to be a good game. Again, this is going to be a matchup. Okay, this game could be a potential. Could we have a track meet where, the scoreboard operators are going to be busy? Or are we going to have a game where, the defenses are going to blow up? Because both teams' defenses have played pretty well, too. I mean, they've pitched some shutouts. So it's really going to come down to who can make the most plays, who's going to prepare. So, yeah, that was one. It was a debate, really, between them and, of course, the game in the New River Valley tonight. Another big one, which will be Patrick Henry visiting, Christiansburg. So it was a tough choice. But, we got to go down the south side, check out our peeps down in Danville. David de Guzman will be on the scene. Real quick about David de Guzman, he's a big-time Target guy, loves Target. Maybe we should get, if we could get an endorsement or a sponsorship.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Target.
On Target do that. With David de Guzman. Yeah.
There you go. You gotta love that. But yeah, here the thing, Rick, these are games now. You're getting to a point, again, you're looking at playoffs, you're looking at what your situation is. And every win is even more magnified now more than ever because real quick, if I can say with Bassett, you look at Bassett, they are just, rocking and rolling in a region. They're in that same, here's the interesting, they're in that same region, with Christiansburg, and a region, 3D because they are tied for third in that region. So a win here, I tell you, a win here could really shoot up your playoff points because George Washington is a Class 4 school. So you really could open things up. But yeah, that region, region real quick, region 3D, Rick. I mean, Lord Botetourt, North Side, they play each other tonight, and there's no love lost between those two. Those two teams are tied for 7th in the region. So
big game.
It's a big game, and it could be, even though it looks like those two teams are, they got a 2-point lead clear of K-Spring. It's still a big game down there. I know I jumped ahead to probably other games we want to talk about, but again, there's no love lost between North Side and Lord Botetourt. When they play, it's it's a rivalry, and there's no love lost there. But yeah, good games. But another game that really caught my eye, Rick, and I feel like I'm taking the wheel from you, so I apologize. But how about Floyd at Radford? I mean, Floyd, they've lost the last couple of games. They stumbled a little bit. But Radford, after Radford lost those two games in the middle, they had a loss sandwich, their sandwich, wins in front of the losses and then wins after the losses, after they lost to, lost an overtime game to Galax and then, Christiansburg, beat them 63-0. They really found some footing. So that's another key game you want to keep your eye on, Radford at Floyd, because again, that has playoff implications.
There's some good matchups in that league. You have Giles, James River, which is a big one to go along with Floyd and Radford. You mentioned we'll find out Auburn's scheduled to be at Galax tonight. I mentioned the Eastmont Narrows game. And you mentioned it as well in the River Ridge. I mean, there's some big matchups. Graham and Pulaski County. I'm trying to think of the last time these two teams played. It's been a long time. Salem going for their second win this week. They've beaten Franklin County. Now they've got Cave Spring. I don't think they'll have a lot of trouble there. Blacksburg will struggle against Hidden Valley. And then you have that game that you mentioned. I mean, it is there. Patrick Henry and Christiansburg. People are here in the New River Valley. Jermaine already talking about this game. This is going to be it's going to be a lot of fun to see how this one turns out tonight.
It will. Before I jump on that, will you be calling that Graham Pulaski game, brother?
I will. I'll be up in the press box.
Okay, just want to make sure because there's times, you never.
I know.
Sometimes
I wander off. I know.
Like, hey, look,
I will be there tomorrow night.
Okay.
Or tonight.
The Jackson 5, I'll be there. So
I'll be there. Yes, I will. I'll be singing that song too. Yeah.
There you go. Or the Four Tops or the Four Tops or the Temptations. They say, and I'll be there for the love that. Was that the Temptations or the Four Tops? But anyway,
I think it was the Four Tops. But anyway,
but yeah, I mean, they always blur their songs. Temptations, Four Tops.
I know. Well, they're all good, so it doesn't matter.
They're great. But anyway, Motown sound. But anyway, speaking of Motown, I'm gonna Motown my way over to that Christiansburg Black Patriot. Talk about that again. Again, both these teams are looking for playoff position. Christiansburg, if they win that game, I think they've locked up a spot. But again, with the points, you never know. It's like NASCAR, like Kyle Larson said, hey, look, I know we have a lot of points. We don't make sure we get a W. When you look at Patrick Henry, again, they are playing with Mo. I mean, to win 6 games, but now in a row. But now this is where they're scheduled. Really, this is where you're going to have some opportunity here because you end the season. You got Christiansburg. The following week, you have your final home game against Pulaski County, and that's always a challenge. And then you wrap up your season at Salem, and that's going to be a big-time game. I mean, if both teams continue to progress and win, I mean, you could have a battle of 2 teams with 8-1 records if it gets that way. But first things first, you got to get through what's ahead of you. It's like, when you're a little kid, you see that chocolate cake over on the shelf for dessert. But before that, you got to eat your Brussels sprouts, you got to eat your steak and your chicken. Like growing up in my house, hey, we couldn't touch dessert, that cherry pie and all the goodies and all sweet potato pie. My mom makes a great red velvet cake. Can't touch that yet. Like MC Hammer can't touch this till we get to what's the matter at hand. So that's what we got.
Christiansburg's the vegetables they have to devour tonight. You're right.
They got to devour that. But yeah, and again, it's gonna be a fun matchup. And I know that these two teams again. And what's interesting, Rick, when you look back at the history. These two teams have had some shootouts over the years. I mean, I think there was a couple of years ago. I think Patrick Henry outlasted Christiansburg 55-48 or something like that. I think it was 2019.
Yeah,
I mean that was at Christiansburg, and the scoreboard operator just flex your fingers, get your muscles going, get muscle memory, because it's going to be a show.
Going to be a show, absolutely. I know Pulaski County people are watching what's happening in the regional standings. Amherst is a team they're battling, and they've got a tough one against Brookville tonight. That's a key game, at least from a Cougar fan perspective, right? If you want to make the top 8 in the region.
Yeah, well, you look at that. Like I said, we look at that region, and I got the regional standings. I got them in my head right here, hot off the press. I highlighted
off the press.
Hot, they're not really hot off the press. It's like we say that because we can. But yeah, when you look at the playoff points, I mean, right now Pulaski is 2 points. Below the cut line. I'm using NASCAR terms, but they're below the cut line of Orange, So yes, they want to beat Graham, but then again, Amherst, they like I said, we look at their schedule. Amherst, in Brookville, I believe you said Brookville and Amherst. Wait a minute, hold on my sheet here.
Yeah,
let me flip that back. Yeah, Brookville and Amherst. That's a key game for both sides. Brookville in their region, Amherst definitely in their region because Amherst, they're 2 points roughly ahead of Pulaski, so they're going to be looking at that. But
absolutely,
so they got to look at that. And then, like I said, that region is just so stout. But like I said, we'll see what happens with that. And really, a lot of fun games. I mean, it's going to be a fun night of football. I mean, EC Glass and Rustburg. I mean, they're going to keep that on that. EC Glass playing well, 6-1. After they lost to Heritage. I mean, they've kind of been. Rick, it's kind of like they've been a quiet 6-1. Like no one's really saying, "Hey, we're 6-1." Yeah. A lot of these teams, when you look at their record, you look what they're doing. It's like they're quietly doing it. But you know what? Maybe that's okay. Maybe they don't want to be, out there because you really want to set yourself up to put yourself in position to do these things and have success. But this is the time of the year where you're playing for a playoff spot. You're trying to get a playoff spot. You're in the playoffs trying to improve your seeding, or you're kind of trying to hang on. You're almost there, locking up a spot, and you want to keep winning to progress. And then you're on the other end of the spectrum where you're kind of like, oh, goodness, we got to win to get in, or we got to hang on for dear life to get into the playoffs. So it's going to be interesting. It's almost like the playoffs kind of start now for a lot of teams.
They do.
If they want to really progress. So fun times. And, we enjoy it. And I tell you one thing, like I said, we look at these teams and there are a lot of pleasant surprises. Again, you mentioned Eastern Montgomery, 4-3, facing a Narrows team that, last year they were the shutout kings, dominating on defense. And then recently, they come up on some hard times. And so, they want to do what they can to try to keep themselves in the playoff conversation. So Eastern Montgomery is just playing good football right now. And, kudos to them, what they're doing.
I love it.
Over there.
I love it. And I'm glad to see the Covington-Perry McClure game means a lot tonight. That's a good rivalry. So, boy, these results are going to be outstanding. And what's great again this week, nothing is postponed or canceled because of protocols. Nothing right now. So that's great. Let's hope it holds true to get everything in tonight.
Where you had, Coach Williams back in the day at Perry McClure, and then Coach Wazell, Rick Covington.
Absolutely, man.
Those two guys on the sidelines. But, that's an old school rivalry. Covington and Perry McClure mean something. And obviously, after this year, Covington and Allegheny, they're going to merge, become Allegheny, which, by the way, they'll be the new Allegheny High School. And I found out, that their school colors they're going to go with a blue theme. They're going to go with light blue and dark blue. So I guess they're keeping it in the blue family. We're going to go with blue and blue.
That's fine. That's right. Combine the colors, right? You're going to combine the schools, combine the colors. Makes sense.
I figure I'd leave you with that tidbit.
Well, great stuff, Jermaine. We appreciate you as always. Have fun tonight. We look forward to the Friday Night Blitz. And folks, enjoy whatever game you're going to be frequenting this evening. It's going to be a crisp, cool evening. It's going to feel just like high school football, the way it ought to be. We want to thank Cody Journell again for sponsoring this program. And thanks to all the kind comments that I get each and every week about the 4th and Goal show. Be sure to watch, by the way, Friday Night Blitz right at 11 o'clock. Jermaine Ferrell and his crew, he'll have all the games covered. Until next week, this has been the 4th and Goal show, folks. Enjoy the games. We'll see you next Friday.
You've been listening to 4th and Goal with Rick Watson, presented by Cody Journell of the Gravity Real Estate Group on the WRAD Talk Network. Tune in again Fridays at 6 p.m. all season long for in-depth analysis of high school football in the New River Valley. This has been a production of the WRAD Talk Network and New River Radio Group. Copyright 2021. All rights reserved.